Rage on that beat, going crazy.
All right, so what's going on, everyone? Tonight I'm here with Matt Kozer, and he's better known as Get Ugly Fishing with his Instagram handle. Matt is a prolific angler in the great state of Ohio. So the way I became aware of Matt is just there are certain people, when you're on social media, there's a lot of idiots. And then you see some people where you just the minute you interact with them on social media, you're like, this is a person wherever I lived in the world, this is someone I would hang out with or be friends with. And Matt's one of those people. I've been aware of him probably, I want to say it's been 2 years, but I know in the last year we've kind of gone back and forth with each other. So what I want to do today is just sort of get to know Matt as an angler and find out what makes him tick. So we'll go through our usual barrage of questions. And Matt, how I usually like to start this out is just with what's going on. And what I mean by that is what's going on in your immediate this week, the last couple of days, and the next couple of days going forward. What do you got going on?
At least today I went fishing twice. Caught five bass this morning.
Is your limit?
Yeah. But I wacky rigged a carp on the top dorsal fin. And the thing with that is I landed it, by the way. I don't know how, because I'm using 25-pound spider wire with fluorocarbon as my lead on there. I landed it, got a hold of it, got my hook up, and shook out of my hand. That probably was 50, 60 pounds carp.
What's your biggest, if it wasn't this 50-pounder?
Carp or bass?
Carp.
Probably in the 20-pound range.
Yeah.
This thing, I kid you not, was, I don't know if we can get that on.
You can get it in there. I've seen them that big.
Okay, they're that big up there.
Yeah.
And it's a grass carp. I was just guessing at the weight it may be.
Yeah. Well, I haven't caught a carp in, I'm going to say, if I had to be realistic, I'm going to say a couple decades I've been lucky enough not to catch one. But the ones that I caught, even when they're like this big, they're tall and round and dense. Like a small one's like 8 or 9 pounds. So and I'm saying one that's like the size of like a 7 or 8 pound bass. They're like 4 pounds heavier. There's just something dense about them. So when you see those big mammoth long ones, they're 40, 45 pounds, those big ones. And I'm assuming you have a lot of the same fish in Ohio that we have here in eastern Pennsylvania. I mean,
you guys got more trout your way than we do. We do have trout up Lake Trout, and we do have a couple streams that are further.
Yeah.
But that other than that, yeah, it's pretty close to the same. I mean, you got Lake Erie in Pennsylvania. So
yeah.
There's all
Western PA is a lot different than Eastern PA. There's like a divide there, but in the middle of the state, it's like smallmouth country. And, but the whole state's it's just, not mountains. It's just very hilly and lush and full of greenery. And we don't have a lot of deep water reservoirs. So that's a good transition for me here. I grew up watching, all the 80s greats like Hank Parker and Bill Dance and all those guys on TV as a kid. And I was always trying to adapt their southern impoundment styles to my fishing up here. And it took me till I was a lot older to realize that I was fishing different waters. Here I'm fishing a lot of ponds and canals and natural lakes that are, the natural lakes might be like 10 feet deep in the middle.
Yeah.
They're not, these impoundments with like these rocky bottoms, that are getting down to 40 feet and stuff. So, a lot of, like, I was like a little kid and I'd be down at the this muddy canal with a full-size spinnerbait, on a spinning rod because we didn't have internet. You know what I mean?
No,
I had
we
two
had
rods,
when was dial-up? That was back in the
like the
early
mid
2000s.
or late '90s dial-up.
Yes, it was dial-up. I remember having dial-up.
Yeah, but I mean that's when it all changed for me. A lot of it, but before that, it was magazines and TV shows, and
In Fisherman Magazine, Bassmaster Magazine.
And looking back now, In Fisherman was probably better for us because In Fisherman was more of like a northern Midwest publication versus Bass, which would have been again southern impoundments, and a lot of those techniques just didn't cut it where I lived. So I had to figure out a lot. And for me, I think the bait that changed fishing for me, and I want to ask you what the bait was for you at a young age. I mean, I don't know, how old were you when you started?
My grandpa actually started me fishing. He used to take me perch fishing off the Sandusky Pier. I spent a lot of times up in Sandusky with my grandpa, so he's the one that's taught me fishing.
So you were like 5, 6?
Yeah, easily, maybe even earlier than that. I can't remember.
Yeah, me too. I mean, people took me like fishing for panfish as a
always
type.
fishing.
Yeah.
I didn't discover bass until my 20s.
Oh wow!
Always pan fishing and like Lake Erie fishing. I grew up in the summers at Lakeside up here by Marlette, which I live now up here. See the point.
Yeah.
I grew up. I was able to come up here in the summer, so it was always walleye fishing,
Okay.
like bass fishing. Now we did get some bass here and there, but I didn't get addicted to it until. Shouldn't say addicted. I obsessed with bass fishing until later on in my 18, 19, 20 years.
So would you say late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, let's see. I graduated in 91. So, yeah, I would say late, beginning of the 1990s.
Beginning of 90s.
Yeah, so 91,
Okay.
92, 93.
Okay. So, all right, that's similar to me. Well, I started the bass fishing thing sooner, but as a kid, I fished a lot. Just panfish because I grew up literally like near like 4 ponds, a canal, a river, and streams. I mean, I was surrounded by small bodies of water. So it was always, fishing for panfish. It's like a tyke. And then I'm going to say somewhere in grade school, I started getting like fishing magazines. And I was like, my parents sent me to my uncles who lived in like right on the border between Pennsylvania and New York State. And he took me to like a bass impoundment. And we caught like, 20 bass that day. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I'm a bass fisherman. I must have been in like 4th or 5th grade. And that was it for me. And like I said, as a kid, I tried everything and a lot of stuff didn't work. And I figured out for me, it was like somewhere in that middle school area, I figured out it was plastic worms here. Now as a kid, I was using all the wrong gear because I didn't have YouTube telling me what to use. Like I had
to figure it out.
Yeah, I got a spinning rod from like a discount sporting goods store. And I don't think I got my first bait caster until I was about 19 or 20 when I got my first bait caster. So I used all spinning rods.
But at that age, that's when Quantum just came out with the smaller bait cast reels. Because before all that, the bait cast reels were like ocean ones, but a little bit smaller.
Yeah, well, so I had a pretty compact Abu Garcia one from 1991, I guess. I still have it. Like all that stuff on the wall back there, that's like my dad's fly rod from when he was a kid. And those were my uncle's bait casters from when they were kids. And then some eBay finds all up in there. I still have mine, but yeah, I mean, they weren't advanced. And I remember I thought it was super expensive and it was like $49 at like Dick's Sporting Goods. And I was like, oh my God, I'm, breaking the bank. And I think my first rod that I had on was a Zebco do you remember Rhino rods?
I've heard
they had the double trigger grip on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought they were cool looking. So I used those.
I like the spin reel back in the day that had the trigger on it. So all you had to do is pull the trigger, it pops your bail.
Yeah, I never had one of
those.
those, but I thought that was a brilliant design. I thought that was a great design. But yeah, so I was fishing spinning rods and like trying to throw like 1/2 ounce spinner baits on them, you know, as a kid. And then I slowly figured out I started getting some jerk baits just because they looked cool in the store. So I was getting like Rapala, like number 9 minnows, and I would go to like campgrounds with my uncle and my aunt, and I started catching bass on my own with like these little like Mep spinners and little jerk baits and plastic worms. And I was like, you know, and then I would try everything else, but I would fail abysmally. And those were the things that was when it clicked for me as a kid. Like I was like, oh, I could, like I remember my first bass, and I think it's the only fish I ever intentionally killed was my first bass, because I was so scared. I was in 5th grade. The first one I caught on my own. I was in 5th grade and I caught it, and I actually rode home with it on the line on my bike to show my parents. I rode home with it. Like it was like I was riding down the street with it dangling from my rod.
Too funny.
Yeah. So that's what started it for me. And then, you know, and then it was just a slow trickle of like more and more. You know, I was like kind of a fair weather summer fisherman that turned into more and more. And then I think as I got older and had more of a disposable income is when I started to become more of like a tackle junkie and do that stuff.
You can see behind me, this is just some of my stuff. But I sit here in the middle of winter time because up here we get 2 months where we do nothing.
Yeah, no, same here.
Wish there's open water somewhere.
It's like basically end of January, all of February, first half of March, and even the last half of March. It's like it's pointless, but you don't feel like it's impossible.
No. Well, March this year for us was warm.
Yeah, it was.
March 2nd is when I caught the first bass in this season. I can't say it this season because January 2nd, I was still in the water in my kayak.
Yeah, which is awesome.
It was 32 degrees. We were just about to get to blizzard 3 hours from that. I was getting pelted with snow at 25 minutes a day. I just ended it there. I was like, I'm done for the season. Because the next day I came back and it's solid ice.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it started in March. We've had really weird fishing season this year.
Well, yeah, I've noticed this summer has been unseasonably cold here and wet. At least where I'm at. I mean, it's raining right
warmer.
now.
Yeah, we're warmer. The storms actually went below us and headed towards your way.
Yeah, it's
my mom and dad live in Monroe Falls, snow area of Ohio. They're getting tons of rain and storms.
Yeah, I'm getting all that. It's gross.
Put base a 15-minute boat ride from my house. So you get the idea where I'm at. I literally have Lake Erie, Sandusky Bay, East Harbor, West Harbor, Rest Haven, Ottawa County Refuge. I have so many different places I can go fish.
Yeah.
Bass, kayak, whatever, get in there, and shore fish.
Maybe we'll put
just as much shore fishing as I do kayak fishing.
I might interject a map here at the bottom of the screen when I go back and edit this. Put your zone on it to give people perspective. All right,
tonight was shore fishing.
Today was, or tonight was?
Yeah, today and tonight was shore fishing.
How far from your house is that?
10 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I like when you can do that because then you
I'm there every day.
Yeah,
I'm not in my kayak. I'm out there fishing.
Well, that's something I'm going to get into with you because, like, I don't know how. I see your face pop up in my feed every day with fish, and I'm like, what does this guy do for a living? This guy is constantly on the water, and I'm supremely jealous. Supremely. I like that culprit hat, by the way. I might need to score one from you. I like their stuff. I've been getting back into it. It is good stuff, and their colors are awesome.
Yeah, I got all stuff sitting all over here to show. This
I'm
right
just
here.
getting. Oh, what is that? Is that a motor oil?
No, this is actually a night crawler. This looks just like a night crawler that you pull out of the box.
Yeah, it does.
I have caught more fish on this color this last 2
What
weeks.
is that color called?
Night crawler on Culprit's website.
What culprit worm?
T-Rex.
All right, I'm going to write that down because I need that.
You can wacky rig it. You can fish
Yeah.
it with a.
It's just an awesome. It's like a fat finesse, right?
Yeah, but it's not salted. So if you're going to wacky rig, you're going to have to put a weight in at one end or the other.
Yeah.
Now, it does fall on its own, but it's really slow.
Yeah, I know what
So
you mean.
If I need to go fast, I have to put a weight in.
So it's a good shaky head worm then.
Yeah, you can use it at that.
Okay. So Matt, this is these are my fan cast questions. Okay. So these are just some quick questions that, you know, I think give people like good insight into someone. So the first question I have for you is, what got you first interested in angling?
After my grandpa showed me fishing, I started fishing at home with my friends and kids. It just kept going and going. It's the idea of catching something that you're not sure you're going to do anything. It's that adventure. And I was always growing up with sports. I played sports all my life.
Yeah.
Varsity all through high school, 3 different sports, and in college. So I play to win. So when I'm fishing, I play to win fishing.
Yeah.
And I don't like losing, so when I keep fishing, it's one of these you get addicted because you want to keep winning and winning, and you don't like to lose. So that's my mentality when I'm fishing. I fish to win, even though I'm not competing against anybody.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I always liked about it was to me, it's the mystery. Because you don't control really anything. You don't know what's under the water. Like your 50-pounder today. And it's kind of like, I think as young as like kids always like surprises anyway. So fishing kind of is a surprise. Like even if you know your species and you know you're using the right bait and you know you're in the right spot, it's still a surprise when you catch a fish. Like you can't call your shots. I mean, you can, but
no,
you can't.
Especially where I live at. We have pike, we have muskie, we have bowfin, we have long nose guard, short nose guard.
Yeah.
We have everything you can think of swimming in this. And the pike up here will hit bass lures on a regular basis.
Yeah.
My pike score right now is at 8. 8 at Middle Harbor and West Harbor, and 7 over at Rest Haven. So I'm looking at 14 pikes this year, and I 8 pike.
That would scare me away from mega bass baits real quick.
Yeah, the bigger baits. I throw big baits. I mean,
Yeah.
5-inch swim baits is.
Yeah, but those get chewed by the pike as well, right?
Yeah, they do, and same with bladed jigs. And you know, this is. I brought some of my stock in here so you can show you. Like they hit this stuff like this bladed jigs all the time.
Now, do you do preventative sizing up of your line at all, thinking that when pike are on the menu, instead of throwing a jig on like 15-pound line or 17, or you like going to 20 or 25, just if you think you're in a, or no, you're just fishing for bass the right way, and if pike gets it.
All my rods except for one have braid on. I fish straight braid.
Okay.
I do have a few rods that have fluorocarbon as leaders on it that I use for wacky worming and for some other finesse stuff that I really don't want them to see. And I do have a reel that I can put on that's completely fluorocarbon if I'm in clear water, which that happened a few weeks ago. I went from completely muddy to absolutely clear water.
I think I saw that in one of your posts.
Yeah.
And you have like a real penchant because your Instagram feed's not just a lot of still photos. It's a lot of you yapping. And I like that because, you know, it's almost like watching someone's YouTube feed, because it's like now when I see your stuff come up in my feed, I'm just expecting it to play. And when it doesn't, I'm like, what? I'm like, this is just a photo? I'm like, where's the video?
I've been doing a little bit more photos lately too, so that's
yeah, they're still useful. All right, Matt, do you remember your first real significant catch? Like it could be, it doesn't have to be bass. It just has to be that one where you were like,
it was a walleye. I was out with my uncle. This was back when I was in 6th, 7th grade.
Yeah.
At Lakeside, we were fishing off Lakeside's dock with irrigators, old-fashioned irrigators, and I caught a 18-inch walleye. That was my first big. I thought my pole was gonna break. I mean,
Right, but when that happened, were you like, "This is for me"? Like,
yeah, I liked it. I mean, there's been years that I didn't fish a whole lot through my lifetime.
yeah,
And I go back and forth, but now it's in my life. It's constant. This is what I do. This is what I do every single day.
yeah,
I'll fish in any weather except for lightning. That's a whole other story.
yeah. I've noticed. You're relentless, dude.
Last year, I started taking pictures this year of the spot that I fish at. You can see the crowds, and I'm going to post it for the year. I'm literally the last one standing out there at the end of the year in November and December. No one else is out fishing except for me. So I have all these pictures that I took. So I'll be able to do a whole video of these
Like
months.
watching the crowds thin out.
And then I'm just the last one standing that's out there because I'm the crazy guy that fishes all the time.
Yeah, I'm friends with a lot of the crazy guys at the lakes. I have another friend who's like the only one out there in waders in, January and February. He's wading in big lakes for bass. All right, Matt, do you remember your first setup? Like the first, your first, not one that Grandpa gave you, but your first setup?
It was probably quantum reel. Monofilament, because we didn't have braid was just coming out.
Yeah, mono was everything.
And it was an ugly stick rod. I still use some ugly stick rods today, except for new ones today. Sorry, ugly stick, if you watch this, they're not up to par as the older ugly sticks. These new ones, they break a little easier than the old ones. Yeah,
I mean, the whole idea with the old ugly sticks was you were going to put up with how way too heavy they were, for the fact that it was literally like a fiberglass whip that you literally could go like this with it and it wouldn't. It was like a tool. It wasn't a piece of equipment, it was a tool.
Because last year I decided to go from just regular standard spinning rods to all medium fast rods for my spins. All my spin rods were medium fast.
As opposed to
opposed to just like if I'm going walleye fishing, you're having a regular heavy rod that's minor, more medium. I would say light.
Okay.
Rods, but I've switched that because it's a quicker hit.
Yeah.
And especially up here, the bass are a little different than other places. I mean, sometimes the bite is like this. You can barely feel it, so you have to quickly hit.
You have to catch up to it faster.
You want that quick flip. You want that
interesting
thing. And we noticed it the other day. A bunch of us were fishing out. I call it the pumps, but we were all out there. We could barely feel the hits. We didn't notice it until we could watch our line start moving this way or that way, and then we'd have to set the hook. We were barely feeling.
Yeah, at that point, you need something a little faster to catch up. I've noticed in the last few years that I've been sort of dialing back the power of my gear, and I'm fishing everything just not a whole power lighter, but everything's kind of almost like a half power back. And even my line, if I typically use 25 pound, I'm using 20. If I typically use, let's say 20 for something, I've been getting away with 17. Something where I use 17, I've been doing 15. I've just been taking every presentation and dialing it back one step in line. I still use, believe it or not, I use copolymer.
Okay.
On all my bait casters, because to me, mono handles great, but it's too stretchy. Fluorocarbon feels great, but I don't think it's as invisible as we've been told.
I will agree with that.
I think, I honestly, I just don't think it's, I don't. And I found that, it does sink and mono floats. And I found that copolymer is literally certain copolymers are mono coated with fluoro. I found they're kind of the best of both worlds. Like you don't worry about your knots breaking like you do with fluoro. So you like I feel like the knots are like super strong. It doesn't float, but it doesn't sink. I mean, it's literally like a straight line to your bait, and the price is right. So it's like you literally dunked mono in fluorocarbon, and the price is good. And I like to respool a lot, so I'm always spooling up the P line fluoro clear.
Yeah, I've gone through so much line this year. It's not even funny. And a representative, I won't say who yet, but
Yeah.
they
Well, I
sent me
finally.
sent me a nice care package the other day, so I'm good for the rest of the season. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, no, I'm always on the razor's edge with line. Like I'm always like, oh, I better buy some. But this is the first year I switched every spinning rod over to braid mainline because I'm done.
I have one bait caster. Everything
Yeah.
I can pitch, flip, and skip with my spin.
Yeah. Oh, okay, awesome.
I almost don't need a bait caster. Frankly, some of the pros, I call them pros, are starting to get away from the bait casters, and they're seeing in some of the competitions they're doing on TV and stuff. They're still seeing less of them using bait casters the entire time.
Yeah, now I have a lot more bait casters than spinning setups, but if I'm going fishing and I'm like, there are 3 spinning rods that I can't live without, and then the bait casters, there aren't 3 that I can't live without. It's situational. Like I'll be like, it's a this and this day, and I'll grab those 2 bait casters. But the spinning rods, because I'm a finesse guy, that's how I cut my teeth. Because I was fishing skinny, clear, pressured water, and giant spinner baits in a 5-foot deep pond that's crystal clear water. Like it was little hard baits, it was jerk baits, it was soft plastics, and all that stuff presents way better on a spinning rod. But I was doing straight fluoro for the last 10 years and straight copolymer, and I was just like, you know what? I can just put braid on these things, and then just change out that last 20 feet to whatever it is I'm fishing. Like I use really long leaders on my spinning rods, but I'm still tying way less line. So I could just switch my line, 3 times a summer, unless I'm chewing through it and getting it short. I could switch line a lot. And then, the next season, I don't have to go buy a million spools because I'm using all the braid over again.
Yeah, because I used J braid last year and I liked it, but I had some serious issues with it once it started breaking down. I was constantly changing line and getting new braid. I run 25 to 30 pound on a regular basis.
On your spinning gear?
On my spinning gear.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I use 10.
That's pretty lightweight. And just up here, you never know what you're going to hit. So
I use 10, but I found that I was looking at 15 and I'm like, you know what? I think I could get away with 15 and I got to upsize it because all my spinning rods have 10-pound braid on them.
I don't know if you can see this. I might be able to get to the camera. See how
thin this is? Yeah, which one is it?
This is the Dura braid by Spiderwire by Berkeley.
Okay.
And this is the same as 10-pound line for diameter.
Okay.
So,
but it's 20 pound. All right.
It's 20 pound, and I have some higher ones I've been using. I have a 65 on one of my spin reels.
Yeah.
For frogging.
I went back to Spiderwire last year because that's what I used in the early 90s because I thought it was cool. Yeah. Now I use the Stealth. I use the Spiderwire Stealth, but I use this one, Matt. I use the camo color.
Oh, hold on. This one right here.
Yeah, I use the Spiderwire Stealth on everything because my rods are all camo.
And the Spiderwire camo is 30 pounds with a breaking of 65. So, and I stopped using Spiderwire ever since it first came out because it floated. It was weird. And one of my friend reps like, look, I'm going to send you some Stealth because it comes with fluorocarbon. He goes, so you can make your leader. He goes, let me know what you think. This has been the best deal for me in wacky rigging and some other things with this
Well,
because I
the
got
nice thing
sprained.
is the price is nice too.
Yeah.
And I use, so what I do with my spinning gear, because I'm saving money with the braid and I'm not respooling, so I've been using the Seaguar Tatsu on, because that stuff's a fortune. But I'm only putting 20 feet on my spinning reels at a time.
Oh yeah.
So I just get a spool of that in 8 pound, and there's like, there's all 4 of my spinning reels or all 5 of them for, 2 years, because I get like
Yeah,
200.
I think I got 80 yards, 90 yards on my spin reels. So I put almost I buy
Okay.
so and as I go through the season, the bad parts are cut off, and I keep.
No, I could even. So you're saying I could up how much I've been putting on? I don't even need to do my.
Yeah.
Okay, I like
And
that.
I use advanced polymer nut for all my brands. That has not found me yet.
Yeah, I
Sure.
use a knot that I don't even know what it's called. My uncle taught it to me when I was about 12. My uncle Jerry, and I call it the Jerry knot, and I have no idea what it is. I just know how to tie it, like, by memory, and I don't know what it is. I don't even know what knot it's related to, but I don't break it, so I just keep using it because I don't feel like memorizing a new one.
Well, I learned a blood knot the other day.
A what?
A blood knot.
Oh yeah. I tie those for my leaders.
And because I don't tie a whole lot of leaders, I'm like, well, if I'm gonna, pitch and flipping or doing wacky work, I gotta have that clear line out there. So it took me a few minutes to figure it out, but once I got it,
it's a cool knot. That or the uni to uni or what I use for my leaders. All right, Matt. This question, this one confuses people sometimes. So you just contemplate this. Okay. If you had to catch bass to feed yourself, the techniques that you use would be different than a fun way to fish, or the way that do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm asking you, what's your favorite way to catch bass? I'm not asking you what's the best way, because we all know the best way is probably a wacky rig or a Ned rig or a drop shot. Not the most fun.
That's not my favorites. My favorite is what I'm known for is curly tail worms.
All right, sweet.
I am the master. I shouldn't say master. I am very well equipped using curly tail worms. I've been using them since I was little.
And if I told you today's bite, I can make today's bite. Whatever I say goes. That's what the fish are going to hit. Is that the bait you want to fish the most in the world?
Yeah, that's what I would.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's a jerk bait. That's if I can force the fish to eat what I want to catch them on. So let's see that worm. What are those?
I throw a bit. This is the. Let me see which one this is. This is pumpkin and blue. This is part of the new Black Series label series that Culpert's got. It's laser cut. This is 8.5.
Yeah, that's what I get 8.5 power bait worms, but yeah, that's 8.5.
This is another one of their Black series. This is another 8.5. This is sapphire blue.
Where can we see the Black Series now if I wanted to look?
Culprit.com.
Okay, that's the only place they're showing up right now?
Yes, there are. I think Bass Pro's got a few of them, but the ambassadors for Culprit, we got them a little early.
I need to check those out.
And I got another one I'll show you here. Let me dig through here. Because I've been hiding these because they did this the other day. This right here is a 10-inch worm, which I use a lot of 10-inch. But this is the wine and blue flake.
Wine and blue?
Wine and blue flake. It was a limited run only.
Let's see it. Oh, so it's like a plum.
It's like a plum apple. This thing in deep water, six feet and deeper, is an assassin.
All right.
I've caught stuff on.
All right, Matt. So help us out here, okay? If you're going to rig that one way when you're going out, let's just say May through August, you're fishing that. What line size is it going on? What's your favorite hook, and what typical weight are you using with it?
I'm using 3/8 to 5/16 bullet weight, or you know,
Okay.
worm weight. I'm going to be trying the new arrow weights here shortly. I got some coming to the house. It's a
Okay.
new style of weight that's coming out. But I Texas rig my worms. Now I've also will run the worms without a weight, and I'm like
Yeah.
walking the dog. But I Texas rig everything. My hook is about a 4 wide,
4-aught wide gap.
4 wide gap. I have a few different hooks I like. I like vector hooks. I like Mustad. I like the one that's with the G.
But typically the 4-aught, when you're doing your 8.5 and 10-inch culprits.
Yeah, I don't run anything bigger than 4 on my.
And line size typically for you, what's
I run 20-pound braid on that. So
straight braid?
Straight braid. Now I have been using fluorocarbon with some of my worms, throwing them that way. I don't see the difference in hits. That makes sense. I'm not getting a difference, and I'm getting so much more hit on fluorocarbon because I don't see the line. So I just went back to straight braid again with my Texas root.
I went through something similar. Maybe 9 years ago, I was fishing like 4 and 5-inch swim baits at one of my local waters, and I broke my leader, and I was really lazy, and I just went with straight braid, clear water, straight braid.
Yeah,
I was catching fish, and I was like, I don't understand. I was using black braid, straight braid. There was like good 4 foot of visibility, and I'm using 4-inch and 5-inch Berkeley Havoc swim baits.
Yeah.
I'm catching fish on straight braid.
Straight braid, yeah, and that's what I've been fishing all this time, the straight braid. Even my finesse stuff, I use straight braid.
So that's why I'm saying. Then you look at
fluorescent colors. You can't use fluorescent colors.
Oh no! Yeah, that'll show.
OD green.
Yeah.
Something that kind of dissolves in that water.
Yeah.
I mean, because these are other swim baits that I use too. This is Riptide. It's called the mullet. Don't makes it.
I don't.
These things are just killer.
Yeah, I've never seen them. Well, they look familiar, but I don't know them. Not familiar with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a color right there. That's a color. That's baby bass. That's bluegill. That's what are those? Fathead minnow. There's so many things that looks like.
Emerald green. Oh, they even got. I mean, they got so many different colors. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
This is just a 3-inch one, but I have the 5-inch. I don't run those 5-inch that often.
Well, that's gonna make some people happy. I like the straight braid. That's awesome. That's I love when people break with conventional norms and show that other things work. I really like that.
All
right, Matt. Here we go. What now? You're good. We're talking about techniques that you use. So you don't have to name one that you don't use. But what's your least favorite way to catch bass?
Honestly, everybody's going to hate me for saying this. Frogging.
Frogging? Nothing wrong with that.
Here's a story about that. Okay, I've never been good with frogs, and I'll show you. Frogs like this. Okay, you rig these up, and
like a horny toad.
Whatnot. Yeah, and you're running these things. So I spent 2 weeks last summer. That's all I took with me.
Right, because you were like, if I just do it for 2 weeks, I'll at least
down pat. Yeah. So I ended up doing really good. But I'll tell you what, the struggle, because you have, once they hit it, it's like you got to count in your head 1,
yeah,
2, 3, and then you set your hook. I don't run double hooks on these. You can't.
Right.
A lot of people do. I run a single hook so it pops up through.
Yeah, no, I would do the same thing with a buzz toad.
And it's like a six gap wide or something like that. Mm. But yeah, frog's probably the one I really don't like running. And like tonight, I probably should have ran frogs over because they were popping. I'm just like, no, if I put a creature bait on, I went, woo, plop, 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 boom, I'm on. So I just let it drop through the reeds. I pull worms through heavy weeds. I'll let it go in there and just drop down.
I'd say for me, it's probably dragging a jig, or now I don't mean flipping a jig, but like a Ned rig or a a football head jig, just bottom dragging and working a bait over each individual rock and over structure. Like
I don't
that drives me nuts.
I don't Ned rig.
I have a little bit of ADD when it comes to that, though. I think
I get a lot of crap for saying I don't Ned rig, but I have my reasons.
Yeah,
I can finesse a finesse worm. I can if I need to or whatnot. I don't need to use a Ned rig.
Yeah. No, I'll use a Ned when I'm waiting for smallmouth in a creek here. But I've found that largemouth have a big enough mouth that, just a finesse worm, however you want to fish it, they're going to inhale it. So for me, the Ned rig really shines in the clear water for smallmouth more than it's necessary for bass. All right, Matt, we're still going on some questions here.
Okay.
If you had, now this is going back to our earlier question, if you had to survive on bass, what are you going to use? Now you got to feed yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we talking artificial or are we talking live?
Artificial.
Okay, I want to clarify.
Yeah.
Because I do know bass will hit night crawlers that are live.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, artificial, you're gonna live on this net. Now you're putting food on your table.
It's gonna be a curly tail worm.
Okay, so even your big
I'm confident with that.
Dude, I gotta go fishing with you. So you're gonna put food on the table with an 8.5-inch curl-tail worm,
or 7-inch or 10-inch. I throw 7-inch worm. I throw 12-inch.
You got.
I have the theory with bigger bass too, and it's starting to kind of play. I'm starting to figure out that the bigger the size of lure you're throwing, especially soft plastics, you get one shot with a bigger lure on that one big bass.
Right.
So the bigger you throw, they will hit a bigger bait, even if it's bigger than that.
You're saying you'll get a bigger commitment at that one chance.
That one chance.
I like that.
I still want to catch a 5-pounder on a 12-inch worm. I haven't done that yet.
I just think it's a matter of time before you cross paths with that.
Yeah. I caught a 4.9 tonight on a wacky worm.
Okay. Well, you're almost there.
I've had a few 5-pounders.
I have a feeling I already know where this question's going. I already know what you're going to say now, but my favorite way to fish isn't necessarily my favorite bite. Do you have a favorite bite?
I like the December bite, the late winter bite when the bass are just starting to move in between that middle level water and going lower. They are so frantic, at least up here on my area.
Okay.
They will hit almost anything that rattles. I like that bite because they're aggressive. They're feisty. They just boom.
It's a clamp.
It's like the bait is damned.
Man.
It's just. I went through quite a few crankbaits last year, rattle traps, and bladed jigs just during December because they were just killing. They were breaking everything.
Yeah.
I was also running a finesse worm on a jig head and just pulling it through the bottom grass that was left and getting bites too. So,
and what was this? Early December?
Early December, yeah.
Yeah.
It was right before Christmas when I was still hitting them on.
Yeah, and it gets, it's not pretty in Ohio in December. It's gray. It's sad. Although, am I right? Like this is news, right? Like daylight savings is here to stay, right?
From my understanding, I think that is true.
Yeah, like we're good. Like we keep daylight savings now year round. There's no more fallback, right?
Right, because like Indiana stays at one time all year long.
Right, I know, and so does like Nevada or something. But I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so that might change things for me a little bit in the off seasons.
It will change how I fish, as in timing wise. Because I'm usually in the wintertime, I'm out there first thing in the morning, or I wait till middle day when that water's starting to warm up.
Yeah, as warm as it can get. Right?
Warm as it can get, because I think the last day I was in, it was 32. There was ice on the water, but I just pushed through. That's the worst thing hearing ever is your kayak crunching ice.
Yeah.
You hear that ice hitting that. Oh.
Well, do you get it where it's like the black ice where it almost looks like it's water, but like there's like little sheets starting to form?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you take a fully charged phone out with you, right, in case you get into some trouble.
Yeah, I actually use the paddle logger app. Anybody can get this if you pay for it. You text the person, it's your emergency contact. App on it. So if I don't answer,
what a responsible angler you are.
So if it goes off in 3 hours, let's say, and I don't respond to extend my time, it sends an automatic GPS location.
Awesome.
So they can send that to law enforcement or EMS to come find where I'm at. Or if I'm in trouble, it has an emergency button.
I'm going to put a link to that at the end of this video. That's awesome that you do that, man. I'm proud of you.
Let me find the right app, because it's called Paddle Logger.
All right. We're going to put that up at the end of this video. Matt, ideal day of fishing for you. Give me, all right, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's another thing. I'm going to say, Matt, you're only allowed to fish for a 4-hour window every day for the rest of your life. So you only get to pick this 1 4-hour window. And then that's all you get. You can go fishing every day, but you gotta pick 4-hour window that's the only time you're gonna be on the water every day. And that goes year round.
Yeah, I'm thinking too, because the way things are up here, it varies so much. It's scary. I would say 8 a.m. till noon.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I get
that little low, and then it'll come back up again and whatnot. But I mean, there's days I'm out at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I'll do that. And there's days like when I was younger, I used to think that evening was like the shit. And I don't know, man. I just feel like the morning, I always feel like it's going to happen. And I always feel like.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Like today, the bigger bass were tonight when I just went back out compared to this morning. This morning, I mean, the biggest one I caught this morning was probably 3 pounds. I mean, to me, that's just.
I know. I was looking back. I was thinking about it, and I think all of my biggest fish have been like all post 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Looking back in my history, I mean, like both my PBs came in the summer of 1993. My smallmouth and largemouth PB. And I feel like I'm never going to break them. But speaking of PB, if you could go out and catch your PB today, I'm going to let you pick what bait it comes on. What do you want to catch on? So when you hold up that PB, you go, I broke my PB today. What would it be on if you could pick the bait?
I don't have the color inside with me, but it'll be a curly tail worm, Carolina clay, 10-inch.
Oh, yeah. The Carolina clay. Dude, that color, I think I got some of those somewhere nearby.
I might
pull one of those out. That color is amazing. Nobody makes that color. It's like green pumpkin and soft pink. It is such a rad color. How do you do with it with worms?
It's great because it's not green pumpkin at all.
It's like a brown.
It's a brown and red.
Yeah, I use the jig trailer.
This is a flutter crawl. This is the 4-inch, but I don't have any worms with me.
It's an awesome color.
Same colors is the worms. Now, I've been trying to get Culprit to make me the earth or the night crawler in the 12-inch worms for me, but it's trust me, they don't do custom stuff, and we as somebody who represents them, we do ask for stuff that now and then it doesn't always happen. Now and then it does. So I'm sure at some point they'll throw a color out there that'll be close to it.
Yeah, I'm going on their website tonight and checking out all this stuff. The black label. So yeah,
this is the fun chroma. Yeah.
So
I went on that tonight.
So if you could catch your PB, it would be on the Carolina clay in the 12-inch curl tail.
No, 10-inch.
10-inch. You can pick it.
Because they don't make the 12-inch. It's Right now, it's the 10-inch and the 7.5 is what they make.
All right.
8.5 hasn't come out yet.
All right, Matt, all your gear's in your car. It all gets stolen except for one rod and what reel. One makes it out alive. Which one does it need to be? If you can only have one.
It's going to have to be my Lose Laser Series with the loose spinning reel that I have on there. That's the one I use all the time.
Okay, Lose Laser Series. Now, is it a medium heavy spinning rod or is it a medium spinning?
Medium.
It's a medium.
Medium.
And you're doing straight braid?
Straight braid.
But see, you can use leader, so it doesn't matter. As long as you got your 30-pound braid on it or your 20-pound, you're good. And then what size reel is that?
100.
So is it like
60 yards if I want?
So I think Lose sizes them like Abu, where it's like a 1, 2, and a 3.
Yeah, I think it's a 2.
So it's like a 2,500 size reel.
Yeah, because I buy my Lose at Walmart. They have a really good deal on them, so let's go there and buy them.
All right, so you're going with a medium spinning rod. Everything gets stolen. Medium spinning rod, like that's what you could still subsist on as a bass angler.
Oh yeah,
at least for okay. All right, so this is the section I call deep dive. So we get a little deeper here. So we're getting away from the surface stuff of gear. And I want to know, Matt, if you've had one, what's been your greatest victory on the water so far as an angler? Like, when I say victory, it doesn't mean contest. It can mean a personal victory.
Being consistent. The last couple of years, I rarely get stumped.
Okay.
And when I do, I take it personally. As in, I have nightmares at nighttime. What I did wrong? Why did I do it wrong? I should have done it this way. And I'll go back the next day and fix those problems that I just did from the day before. It's consistency is one of them. I would say that would be the biggest thing. I'm consistent. I can go and throw. I know what to look for.
So you leveled up the last few years.
Yeah,
dude, that's an awesome answer. That's great. That's awesome. All right, here's another one. You can have one cast back. So tell us about your biggest mistake on the water.
Yesterday.
Really? Wait, is this the carp?
No, this is a bass from yesterday. I went kayak fishing and shore fishing.
In your whole life, yesterday was the biggest mistake. That's the last cast. That's the cast.
I kid you not. I lost probably a 9-pound bass yesterday because I didn't time my hook. I didn't cinch my knot down on my wacky worm hook.
Did it slip out?
The whole thing just gone. I had him almost ashore, and I went down to reach it, and I saw it just the line.
Dude,
just
you're never gonna live that one down. That's gonna haunt you.
That's gonna haunt me.
Yeah,
I made up for it today, but
yeah, but you'll be thinking about that 10 years from now.
Oh,
all right,
yeah.
Here's the second part of that question then. What did you take away from it? What did you learn from it?
Double check my knots and retie them if you're running it through heavy cover.
Now,
which I don't always do.
Leading up to that, what made you retie right before you had this giant bass on?
I just got it snagged on something, so I was starting to fray, so I cut the
okay, well,
now I'm using a leader, so this is fluorocarbon that I'm not used to.
Yeah.
So and I use a polymer knot for that because I know that's a tight knot and it doesn't break. The problem is I didn't wet the knot. I just pulled up on it. I cut my stuff. I didn't think about it. I should have wet the knot because only on fluoro and mono and even would you say polymer. You have to wet the knot to get it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. So that
and do it slow because you don't want to burn it.
And
I often wonder. That's another thing I always wondered about with braid to fluoro. I always wonder, since the braid's coarse, like, is it extra burning my line when I cinch it down versus like mono to fluoro? or
From what I
fluoro.
was told, it's possible, but I still, like I said, the blood dot I haven't learned the other day.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of leads, and everybody said I should, and I'm just like, you know what, whatever. I'm just gonna keep everybody happy and do one. I like it that.
Well, but see, here's how I look at it. You learned something from it, but you were kind of doing the right thing, which was you were trying to retie. Because I'll be honest with you, like I feel my line once every like 100 casts. I'll be like, oh, did I get a nick in it? Nope, another 100 casts without checking it. So you were doing something right.
Braid, I never worry about. I've never not break on my braid.
Nope, I don't worry about that either. If it happens, it happens. All right, Matt, I think I can answer this now just from talking to you, but I'm going to ask you anyway what you think. What is your greatest attribute as an angler? Like you have one characteristic that helps you as an angler.
I would say ability to read the water. I grew up in a time where we didn't have fancy fish finders like they have now.
No,
I'm out kayak fishing. I have a $50 fish finder. It's a lucky fish finder that's about this big.
Yeah.
And a transducer basically tells me depth and maybe if there's fish.
Well,
so I read the water more, and I think that would be my attribute.
And you feel like you also probably have a little bit of a nose for where they're going to be. Like even if you didn't have your fish finder, like you can look at water and be like, I'd be there, I'd be here.
Or that looks fishy. Or I'd
yeah.
try that.
It's weird how we, as humans, that we get to water and we sniff out those spots.
Like the other day, I was fishing at Rest Haven on my kayak. I actually caught the fish. He jumped out of the water and got stuck on a branch. So that was my first fish in a branch that I actually had to figure out how to get my kayak over a log.
Yeah.
So I could get him off. I couldn't break the branch. I tried. I had to get
him. Yeah.
So yeah, that was luck. That was pure luck that I pitched it in there.
But you got it.
Barely 2 feet of water in there.
Yeah.
So
but you got it.
I got it.
Right. Is that one on Instagram?
Not yet.
Okay.
I have.
Oh boy, he's got a backlog. We feel bad for him. We all feel so bad for you, Matt, with your backlog of photos because you go so much.
Well, I got 2 months where I can't fish. I have to have content for every single day of the week.
Yeah, it's true. I can't keep up with that anymore. It's just too much because
it's a struggle.
Yeah, dude, because you can fall off quick. You skip a couple days, and it's like Instagram like punishes you. They're like,
TikTok. Like I'm blowing up on TikTok right now. Stuff. I've gained so many followers.
Right, but if you skip out and you just get lazy, and you sit home and eat pizza and watch movies for a week, the amount of eyeballs that see your content drops significantly. Yeah,
like Twitter, I just post stuff. I just let it repost from Instagram.
Yeah,
I don't even care anymore until Twitter gets figured out. So,
all right, Matt, we just talked about your greatest strength as an angler. What's your greatest weakness as an angler?
Patience.
Okay.
That's something I am learning. I'm doing better with it. There's days that I'm like, okay, this is not catching nothing. I should keep fishing it because I know it'll work. Nope, I'm switching. I literally take 6 poles with me to 8 poles when I go short fishing.
How long will you typically fish a presentation before you give up?
At least 20 casts.
I don't know how many casts it is. I think in terms of minutes. I would say I'm like a 15 minutes guy.
10 to 15 minutes. If I'm not getting the slightest bump on it, I'm switching because it's not going to work. Or switching colors because the color's not working like it was. We've gone through 4 different colors in the last 3 days. From morning and night, it's been a completely different color pattern.
You mean the bite shifting? Where a color's dying off and the next color's coming on.
Yeah, but the colors have been off this year. So right now I have a list from last year of every single thing that works. So I started throwing from what I was throwing last year, and it's completely off. It's either a darker shade or it's a lighter shade.
Yeah.
I have to be more present in it.
I love soft plastics colors. I wish I could have some say in that with someone.
I wish I could have some say in a few colors on there.
Yeah. Or start pouring them myself. All right. So, Matt, this is the section I call Last Text. So I'd like to ask you, someone getting started now, someone like you, some kid somewhere, we can't even imagine where they are in the United States. It has nothing to do with where they might be. What's a piece of advice, or it could be the past you, but what's a piece of advice you'd give someone starting out now that would serve them well?
As in bass fishing or fishing in general.
Um, let's say fishing in general.
You don't have to have the most expensive gear to catch the biggest fish.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's getting lost now more than ever.
None of my reels and rods are over $80, and I catch all those big fish.
Yeah.
On cheaper lures and everything else.
All right, guys, kids,
5-6 bass.
Kids at home, anyone watching this, you heard it. Go look at his Instagram. There's a lot of bass on there, and he's fishing in a state that's not easy to catch bass. So he's got two things going against him. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, equipment, it's sort of it has really gotten out of control. It's becoming a little bit of an elitist sport.
Yeah.
And it's sad because when I was a kid, you could go with one or two rods and like a bag of baits, and that was it. And there's this awful pressure now to sort of, even if it's not expensive gear, there's this pressure to have, like I said, not necessarily expensive, but the right rod for this job and the right rod for that job. And
I had a guy the other day. It was like, well, why don't you use bait casters? Bait casters is all used for fishing for bass. I'm like, okay. And I just go and flick my spin rod and I skip my bait across in between the two logs. He just looks at me. I was like, well, I don't really know why I need a bait caster. I could do it this way.
Yeah,
so,
no,
I did it nicely. I wasn't being a smart ass about it.
Yeah, no. Well, for one thing, finesse tactics catch more fish. That's just a fact. Now, you fish like what I would call power finesse. So you fish like reaction baits that are a little more powerful, but still on spinning gear. Salt water, that's all taking place, a lot of it on spinning gear. For me, a bait caster is a tool when it's the type of weight of lure that's just going to sort of overpower my finger on a spinning rod. Like there are certain lures where it's just like you don't want to whip certain lures and let go with your finger. And then in those cases, a bait caster is great. But the whole fishing world is sort of biased to just bait casting. And I think people try to force it. Where, if you're on the fence, if you're in the middle ground, you're probably better off with a spinning rod, because one advantage of it is that you can get that straight drop and you can let things go down. You could just back your hand off that line and let that thing go straight down, where you're always going to have a little bit of a pendulum with the bait caster, because it just.
If I was doing a competition, I would only have one bait caster with me. That says everything.
Yeah.
Now, not a lot of people have skills that I do with curly tail worms, but I grew up fishing with worms and doing different things. We didn't always have all these newer baits and all the stuff like these guys got today. So we've had to learn skills that are different.
Yeah. Well, guess what question we covered just now in the last cast? I was going to say, what's your biggest beef with fishing right now? And I think we uncovered it. It's that pressure that people.
There's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure to have stuff, to have lots of stuff, to show stuff off. And even just like the idea of having a boat's not enough. It's like, what do you have on the boat?
Oh, yeah. Do you have the live cast? Do you have live? All the Garmin, the Hummingbird, the Lowrance. Do you have the Whisper Ghost motor now on for your trolling? It comes down to gear and all that, which I do.
Yeah.
But there's days that, I'm lucky that I have the sponsors that I do. I really am. And I get to represent some people.
There's days where we're lucky to have two arms and be able to hold a fishing rod and go float out in the water and do something that we love.
But the pressure is there. Like last year, I fished 271 days last year, 120 was on kayak. And the rest was, shore fishing or what. But I felt that I had to produce all this stuff constantly to
Yeah.
keep everybody happy. But this year, yeah, I still get everything done for who I represent, whatnot. I get all the pictures and videos that they need. I get that taken care of. Then I'm just some days you don't even see me, or you won't see me with this or this, or I'm just in a regular t-shirt and a hat out there just fishing.
Yeah. Well, Matt, it's your personality that's consistent, and you're obviously a grinder. So that pressure to produce, I think people see in your feed. I think they see that you can't make up showing up to water as much as you do. Like that, like you can't fake that, because the amount of stuff that I see you doing, I'm always like, how is he doing this? Like, I'm like, every time I open my this app, there he is. There's Matt out on the water. You can't fake that.
I can walk across the street and just like 100 yards away and walk down to the water and go fishing.
I'm close, but not that close. If I was that, well, I don't know. It's hard with everything that goes on.
I am doing a competition this year with another friend of mine off of Instagram. We've teamed up for a team challenge. It's going to be July 21st to the 23rd. It would be a really good day. So
all right. Well, what I was going to do is at the end of the video, we're going to put some links to the things that Matt wants you guys to know about. So we're going to make sure that we list that as well, Matt. So, Matt, this is kind of the last question here. I just want to know, what does fishing do for your soul? Like, what does it feed in you?
It's my stress reliever. Yeah, if I'm having a rough day, or I'm just completely mad at fishing.
It's a release valve, and when you're on the water, you're so focused on the task of thinking, like, where's this mystery creature? It really does melt away a lot of the other stressors in life. Like, you kind of forget everything.
Yeah,
there's nothing like it.
Now I feel a lot healthier as I'm out more in this, especially the cool weather and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I don't take. That's the one thing where I don't take a lot of my troubles with me.
No, once I'm fishing. That's it.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up there, Matt. I just want to know, last thing here, what's next? Like, what's coming up immediately, like in the next, let's say, 2 weeks for you?
Just more fishing, kayak fishing, practicing for the tournaments coming up in July. My first big team competition. But the skill level, it's going to be interesting. I'll just say that. I'll just say it's going to be an interesting competition.
Where is this going to be?
It's going to be on Lake Erie, anywhere on Lake Erie. It's going to come out of Dempsey, the launch and recovery and all that. The boats is going to come out where I live at. So it's on my home water, basically. Okay. But the 3 teams that I know that are in this, we all fish the same. Literally, we can fish side by side and catch the same amount of bass. So this is going to come down. It's how many bass you can catch in a day by weight. So this is going to come down probably to the ounce. All right. So I don't want you to reveal any of the secrets that, or any of like the things that you plan on doing to give yourself an edge. But overall, is there something you see in the water you're going to be fishing that's just slightly off from your everyday fishing? Like, do you think you're going to have to adjust one way or the other, like a tad lighter or a tad heavier? I'm going to have to go a little bit on both, a little bit lighter, a little bit heavier. But I'm also going to have to do a little bit more of bass fishing, not as much methodical picking apart. Methodical, because this is you're taking your, like, you've watched them all the competitions on TV. You have your own, but this one will video. Everything's video of you holding the scale with this on it. So bass is really good. I'm not looking for the 5-pound bass. I'm looking for that 1 pound. I can get 50 of them, and my partner can get 50 of them. That's 100 pounds. You're responsible for the video, right? Yes, but it goes up on, I forget which app it is. Right, but I mean, you're going to have, like, do you have something to charge your phone when you're out there so that? Yeah, we have a charger on the boat. Okay, sweet. We've been really doing a lot of satellite imaging for the last 3 or 4 years, some pretty different things. So seeing how things have changed. Fierce competitor. Hey, you got to be prepared. Fierce competitor. That's my competitive edge. Yeah, there we go. All right, Matt. I don't like to lose.
No, well, you don't lose. And I'm really proud of you. And I really like seeing that, I've noticed your uptick in everything that you've been doing. I've noticed that you took everything up, another level. And I was like, this guy's still working hard. So proud of you, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
So it's
the
good
help from the
talking.
apps.
I want to do this again with you so that we can get
Yeah.
more into like just talking about like the toys of fishing, like specific baits and colors and all that stuff. So we're going to end it here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm going to put all of Matt's information. Matt, you're staying on with me afterwards because we got to go over a few of these baits. I need to down low on it. Yeah, I need to down low on a little bit of stuff. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll see you in the next one.